I want to give a huge thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Therapy isn't something to run away from, it's a vessel to run towards. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online, so break out your comfies. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time. Anytime. And schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. No more fumbling to get a session on the calendar. You schedule based on when the time is right for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. Therapy changed my life for the better. Pun intended. And with BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Rocky. That's betterhelp.com/Rocky. I don't even know where to begin with my wild weekend at Mohegan Sun Casino, so I'll just start from the jump. I go to the casino with some family on Cinco de Mayo. Shout out to Puebla, Mexico. Been there, done that. Cinco de Mayo is really meant to celebrate Mexico's victory over the Second French Empire at the Battle of Puebla. But Becky wants churros and a sombrero. Olé! Anyway, we were going because we had tickets to see Sarah Silverman, and unfortunately she had to cancel her show. But me and the crew were still down to rage. Lucky for us, the band Slaughter was playing at the Wolf's Den, which is a mini music venue in the heart of the casino. And we got free tickets. I never heard of them before. At first, I thought we were seeing an 80s cover band, not an 80s hair band. But when in the history of Wild Nights with Rocky Powell have I not done it for the story, baby? Who is Slaughter? Slaughter has the same kind of style as Poison, with the hair of Guns N' Roses and the energy of Motley Crue. And they sounded mean on the vocals and guitar and drums. I personally didn't recognize the set list because I didn't know any of Slaughter's songs, but lucky for us, they put the lyrics up on the monitor. And that's just thoughtful and inviting to any new Slaughter fans out there. While I don't have anything negative to say about the Men of Slaughter, I scoured the internet trying to make sure they weren't a big fat racist band because, remember, we went in not knowing what to expect, and I'll say this, a lot of the crowd fit the profile of someone who had plans on January 6th. A lot of the crowd looked like maybe they've had a foot on Nancy Pelosi's desk before. A lot of the crowd looked like they think baby Jesus is a baby's head on an eagle's body with a patriot spirit. I'm not saying they did or were. I'm just saying a lot of the crowd looked like if you gave them the multiple choice question, is America great? A, yes. B, we're trying, but the lifeboat is sinking and the call is coming from inside the house. Or C, it was once great and we have a great idea on how to make it great again. The crowd may go with C. But I'm generalizing and stereotyping, and that's not right. I could also be projecting because I sat next to my 6'2" brother who looks like Stretch Curry, and we were just trying to blend. It didn't work. We were sitting there like our names were Jean-Ralphio and Mona Lisa.
Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious.
What was funny about the band Slaughter is they threw a comical amount of guitar picks at the audience. Comical. I haven't checked eBay yet, but if any of you do, please let me know if Slaughter fans are getting any money for those bad boys. We went to a bar after, and they had an amazing cover band called Sunset Drive, and there was a mechanical bull, and there were good vibes. Within 5 minutes of being there, I'm approached by a man. The chorus of sister-like nuns that hide in my vagina and sing every time I feel a real good flirt sesh coming on broke out their finest hymns because he was very hot right off the bat. Then he spoke. Cute banner at first. Then he said, I have a lot of interests. Oh, well, that's amazing. What are your interests? What do you want them to be? Now, I know what you're thinking. Rocky, he doesn't want to talk about interests. He wants to talk about interests. And that's all well and good. But it was so unearned, the dirty talk he was trying to facilitate. He was fishing for it. But the problem with this was he didn't even tell me his name. He didn't even ask me my name. And he gargle burped through that whole sentence. Then he said, so are you going to ride the bull? To which I replied, I actually might have if I wasn't wearing a floor-length dress, and that's true. Why are you wearing a floor-length dress? As if me wearing a floor-length black maxi dress to a cowboy bar is the craziest thing he ever heard. Somehow, I think saying because I'm a motherfucking hippie witch who transcends time, space, and dimensions while I sleep, and hugs trees in the daylight, and this dress hugs my hips and butt, and it's 100% cotton, my guy. Somehow, I don't think that would have went over well. Oh, 'cause it's my favorite dress, is what ended up coming out of my mouth. And once we got over that hurdle, he started getting real. He's a triplet, his sister works in Soho, he works at a school. I still have no idea what his name is at this point, and I had the ability to ask, but at this point I wanted to know if he would ask. A few minutes go by, and he introduces me to his coworker. This is when the names come out. And then 5 minutes later, he leaves me with his coworker to go buy himself a drink. And not even 2 minutes later, he's talking to another woman. His coworker said to me, you can buy a drink on his tab and he's so drunk he won't even know. And to me, that was comforting. I never did talk to him again, but every time I went to the bar or to the gals' room, he was always flirting with a different woman. His name is Milo, by the way. I'm sure he's not so bad. After a fit of dancing and drinks and singing and laughter, I did get hit on one more time, and it felt good to be out in the streets, fishing. This guy was a very, very smooth cutie. I was standing there watching my family play beer pong. He kind of slid next to me as if we were human DMs. And yeah, as life goes on and you live longer, you do say I got hit on while watching my family play beer pong. The combos in life just get weirder and more fun, so keep on playing, guys. It's a ride. So he slides up to me and he tells me I'm really beautiful. Ugh. The nuns are back, baby. And then we talk about some other stuff. And I'm like, this is a flow. And then out of nowhere, he said, I'm done gassing you up. Sir, it's Cinco de Mayo. I had pork belly tacos for dinner. I've gassed myself up more than you ever could. I'm done gassing you up. What? You're not that beautiful. I can't gas you up. Everyone your entire life probably gassed you up. I'm not going to gas you up anymore. You're not that beautiful. To which I reply, well, that's a really fucking rude thing to say. Whoa, what? I'm rude? Yeah, to say I'm beautiful and then say I'm not because you're afraid I'm gonna walk on water after you blessed me with your basic ass words. Are you out here teaching men the quickest and most efficient routes to not get their dick sucked? And how many of them are acing your course? Cause my lips are sealed. It feels like the men who are out here flirting with women are saying the rude shit you'd expect them to say behind your back to your face. Like they're watching Andrew Tate's TED Talks on how to neg women so they'll find something, anything interesting about you. Well, honey, it's not working. Did you know this guy was a Vogue model? It's true. He voluntarily showed me his picture in Vogue after he apologized for saying I wasn't beautiful. Then he told me I was beautiful again, while he scrolled through pictures of himself in Vogue. I'm sad to announce it wasn't a love match, but it was a wild night at Mohegan Sun, and to be honest with you, I'd do it all over again. In the words of Slaughter, up all night, sleep all day.
Time for
Duh.
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello. Did you have a good week? I sure hope so. I hope you found a little bit of joy, a little bit of peace, and a little bit of fun, baby. It's May and the weather is finally sexy. So Tuesday night, I had dinner plans at Minetta Tavern. I was waiting for my friend to get off the subway, standing on the corner, and I was wearing a short black cocktail dress. And my earrings were big, and my hair was big, and my boobs and butt stay big. My boots were knee-high, and I stood there smoking a fat-ass J, waiting. Just waiting. And I have to say, the looks I got standing on this corner smoking a fat J in knee-high boots, they hurt. Up and down, side-eye, eye rolls, furrowed brows. Here's the deal. I may not have been selling it, but how dare you look at me as if it's wrong to sell the cat? And according to your moral compass, no one should be doing it. Sex work is honest work. And anyone who thinks we don't need to protect sex workers, I just want to say you would never be able to rock knee-high boots on the corner smoking a J on a Tuesday night, and that's a motherfucking fact. That's it. That's the tweet. And Minetta was incredible, by the way. Get the steak unless you don't eat meat, in which case this would be a perfect opportunity to start. Shout out to Isabel for the fun and for the freats. That brings us to Rocky's Highest Thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. Number 1, there's no such thing as too many ravioli. Famous last words of a man who died eating a ravioli. Number 2, women Russian doll men out of their uteruses every day, for Christ's sake. Why is anyone trying to put rules on our body? That's insanity. It is clinically insane. Number 3, stores all in a row are just outdoor markets with walls. And number 4, I always think I'm not susceptible to targeted ads, and then next thing I know, I'm 5 minutes into the trailer for the Aaron Carter documentary on Hulu. Yeah, I will come get it. My guest this week is comedian Charlie Bardey. Charlie's wild word was bathroom, so take your pee breaks now or later, baby. And no one goes to the bathroom without their phones anyway, so no need to pause. Just make sure you wash those paws. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me at Wild Nights with Rocky on TikTok and Instagram, at Wild Nights Pod on Twitter. If you want to watch extended interviews with all of my guests, please subscribe on YouTube. You can support the show for $2 or $5 a month by joining my Patreon. $5 members get an Irish lesson from me to keep the endangered language alive. Yes, baby. A big thank you and a future thank you to everyone who's written and everyone who will write a review when this episode is over. It really does make a difference. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Charlie Bardey. Okay. Charlie, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm psyched.
I've been listening to you all week and getting prepared for the episode, and I have
You're
to
doing
say
your
this.
homework?
I'm doing my homework.
Yeah.
I have to say, I find you're a perfect podcaster because you're extremely likable. Obviously, that's why I have you on the
Thank
show.
you.
But also, your voice is very soothing.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I really don't get that so much.
Really?
That's actually that's really nice to hear, and I value that a lot, actually. I really appreciate people who have beautiful, rich voices, and it's a specific and kind of random quality. So thank you. That means a lot.
I'm glad it does, because is it obviously podcasting for our kind of generation has started to really boom these last few years, but it's not something, at least when I was in college or in my early 20s and stuff, it's not something I thought I would want to do.
Yeah.
So was that something that you kind of were like, oh, maybe I'll get into podcasting, or is it as it's evolved, you're like, oh, I can do this?
Let me think. I think I didn't have a specific interest. It wasn't like I was like, oh, I want to do a podcast.
Gotta do it. Yeah.
I got to do it. It was more like, well, I had this, my podcast is called Exploration Live, and I host it with my friend, Natalie Rotter-Lateman. And it really came just because we had this show. We had this weekly live show that we did. And as we did it, it became, it was kind of a classic stand-up show. It's where the two of us banter and then bring up comedians. And then the more we did it, the more it became we would have 4 comedians and we would chat a little bit between each. And then we just started chatting like more and more. We like really loved that part of it. And it started to be like the show was an hour and a half and an hour of it was us like talking.
Yeah. And so something that kind of just fell into your lap, which is great.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you have the voice for it. Now, everybody listening, this would be a really good time to pause and go to the bathroom because we're about to get into Charlie's story.
Whoa, here we go.
Here we go. So
nailed it.
Thank you so much. So Charlie's wild word was bathroom. So Charlie, take us into your wild night story, bathroom.
Totally. Okay. Here's okay. Let me set the scene a little bit.
Please.
When you like first gave me this prompt of like, tell me about a wild night, I actually had to do a little bit of soul searching because I was like, you know what? I don't know if I really have something that really fits this criteria.
Right.
Which was kind of a moment for me because I was like, wow, like, what does it say about my life that I don't have I don't have something like that, right? Like it feels like a really common kind of narrative, like, oh, one of these crazy times, and maybe it's in the past, I don't do that anymore, but I've never been so crazy. I'm very like regimented, and I really like am pretty risk averse, and I have fun and I hang out, but I think a lot of the ways I do that are pretty like, prescribed, or it's like I hang out really late with my friends at a bar.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing the kind of thing where it's like I'm going like
ham.
I'm going so crazy, and like even in high school, right? Like, I was a really like studious kind of good kid. I stayed in on weekends. I did my homework. My friends would do crazy stuff, but I wouldn't.
Right.
And so, and even in college, it's like college I drank a lot, but I didn't have that thing of like, whoa, like this night took me in a crazy, crazy place.
Yeah, where you're like waking up and everybody's like, Charlie, you know what you did last night.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Right. So I haven't had a lot of those. And the only times I've really, and I was like, what am I going to do for this? And then I remembered actually this one night that really did kind of fit the bill.
Yeah.
And, kind of in accordance with what I've been saying, it really was a night where like, it was senior week in college, which is like the last week of school. You've like basically graduated.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's a week where you really are kind of allowed and encouraged to go crazy, right? It's like I had nothing else on the line. It was exactly what I'm supposed to do. So even though it was like a crazy night, it really was still a crazy night within the bounds of like, well, right now you're supposed to have a crazy night. And I was like, got it, roger that. So, this did still make me, this prompt has made me think that I maybe need to be a little bit more adventurous and bold. And you know what? It's not too late.
It's never too late. And I can show you a wild night if you really want to.
Yeah, honestly, let's go. Let's party. So this was senior week in college. It's like you finish your classes, whatever. You're like with all the people that you like, love or like or whatever. And you do a bunch of, every night has like a bunch of activities. The one that I was really excited for because I'm whatever, like a pervert, was like the underwear party, right?
Okay.
Which is, I can't remember what it's called. I think it was called Erotica, right? Oh. And it's at this like club on campus, right?
Wait, hold up. You had a club on your campus?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is so cool.
And it kind of was like a big part of the experience.
Wait, remind me what school you went to?
I went to Yale. So it's this kind of like...
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I'm from New Haven. I can't wait to talk about
Oh, really?
That. Yes.
Oh, so yeah, I'm talking about Toads. Yeah.
Wait, I don't know that. I don't know that bar.
You don't know Toads? Okay, well, Toads is like...
I don't know it. Oh, Toads.
Toads. Yeah.
I thought you were saying totes. Like
Totes.
Totes my goats.
Yeah.
I do know Toads. I know Toads well. Awesome. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I didn't know we had this connection.
This is such a treat. I thought I heard you mention something about Yale on one of the podcasts you were on. And then I thought to myself, I was like, did you go to Yale? But it kind of like happened quickly. Yeah. Yes, I know Toads. We're going to talk New Haven. Go into it. Let's hear it.
Okay. So, it's like a thing with Toads is not like owned by Yale or anything, but like they have like on Wednesdays, they have what's called WODs, which is like just Wednesday Toads. And it's like, I think exclusive to Yale students. So that was a big part of the college experience. And even that, I was like, some kids would go so hard. And I was like, don't you have classes and stuff? Like, how are you like getting completely trashed on a Wednesday? I never was able to do that. But again, school's over. I'm like, I'm allowed. Let's go. Right. I was really excited for this, but I also knew that like, being in my underwear is like a pretty like, I at that time I didn't have such an easy relationship with my body. Who does, right? Like that's a
Yes,
big thing. So, um, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to get really drunk, and kind of everybody was like, this is. It's a moment where you're like, okay, this is supposed to be fun and sexy and like let your guard down, but also you're going to be in your underwear in front of everybody who like all of your peers, right?
Yes.
And you're going to be like evaluated, which is like the scariest thing in the world. So everybody, it's just designed to be a really messy night, right?
Right.
So we're doing this pregame. I'm pre-gaming with my friends in this like house. We end up pre-gaming with this game that's like I can't remember what it's called, but the idea of it is it's an hour. Oh, it's called a power hour.
A power hour, yeah. With
Power hour.
Every time the music changes, you take a sip or a drink or a shot.
Yeah, exactly. What we did was every minute in an hour,
Yeah.
you take a shot of beer, which I think I was so enthusiastic about it and was like, let's go hard, that I was like, that my friends were like, we're going to do it, but every minute we're going to do a shot of liquor, which is kind of defeating the purpose and is actually pretty scary and definitely too much. But whatever, had an amazing time, like pre-gamed. Everybody who was at that pre-game got really, really drunk. So we're walking there, we're really drunk. And this was actually one of the few times in my life that I actually did pretty much blackout.
Wow.
I have flashbulb memories of being at this club in my underwear, some of which are like really enticing, and I'm actually like, I wish I had more. I remember grinding with this guy who I always thought was so hot, and I think he mostly identified as straight. But we always had like a flirty vibe, and I was like, so what's going on here?
Yeah.
So I remember that. I remember like grinding with this guy. There was this guy who was visiting from another school that I thought was hot, and we made out at the club.
Right.
And that was really cool. Again, flashing into this, don't really know what happened broadly. Know that it was this crazy, messy night. Kind of flashback in. I'm on a lawn somewhere, and I'm wearing like maybe like a real crop top.
I was gonna ask what the ensemble was.
Right. So I think it was just like truly like underwear, a crop top. Maybe to walk there, I also had like little Sophie shorts because I didn't want to like fully just walk in my underwear. So I think I'm like, I remember after being like on this lawn with this guy who I'd made out with that I was like, all right, I think it's going to happen. And then like another friend. And then I think at some point I laid down looking back on the lawn and was like, you know what? I'm actually so completely drunk. I need to go home and vomit and go to bed. Like I've actually overshot it, which is I tapped out. So, that's kind of my memory of it. I like wake up the next morning. I'm like, all right, like I feel obviously completely hungover, feel horrible, vomit that morning. And I'm trying to kind of piece together this night. I look back through it. I look in my phone and I realize that a part that I kind of omitted in my memory is that I had taken a lot of nudes in a public bathroom. No real recollection, no real memory of that part, but I have the photographic evidence of me in a public bathroom.
Solo nudes?
Solo nudes, just
Love
me.
it.
I was feeling myself. Luckily, I don't think anyone came in. There's not evidence of that. I think maybe that would have like, that might have formed a memory, but I have no way to know for sure.
Yeah.
And I just have all these pictures of me really like clearly drunk off my ass, feeling myself in this public restroom.
Oh my gosh.
And I had those pictures and I was like, wow, this was a really close call. And I kind of can't believe I made it home. And, it's one thing to be really drunk and it's another thing to be really, really drunk and kind of given institutional encouragement to let loose and to also be in your underwear.
And I wonder if maybe subconsciously, I don't know if before these pictures were taken, if you had taken naked photos of yourself, but there is something kind of liberating about having a naked photo or like a really scantily clad photo that you're like, this is mine. I took this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I wonder if you hadn't taken a naked photo before then, if there was something in your subconscious that was trying to get out. Like,
you know what?
You have to be naked.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think you're because I actually like looking back in my phone, those are the first nudes that I'd like saved.
Yeah.
And clearly I was enthusiastic about this party in a way where I was like, I was ready to be like naked in front of people, basically. I was ready to be like looked at in that way. And I had been a little bit like repressed in various ways. And it was like time for it to come out. It's interesting because there's this thing of like, okay, this is a thing I've been thinking about.
Tell me.
You know how there's like the difference between like, there are things you want but are like scared of, and then there are things you like want to want but you don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there are things where you're like, I should want this, or I want to be the kind of person who like seeks out this kind of thing. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, this is a kind of a lame example, but like solo travel.
Yes.
Like I'm so not like a solo traveler. I really want people there. I get really nervous when I'm alone, but I would love to be the kind of person who would want to do that. I don't really want to do it, but I would love to be someone who's like, God, I can't wait to just like touch down in Iceland and explore. Yeah, exactly.
But there's a part of you that's like, I just don't feel like organizing the trip by myself. Like,
No.
who am I gonna talk to?
Yeah, it's like
travel. You've got to be on 24/7. No, I totally get that. I kind of feel that way. This is a little bit further on the spectrum than solo travel, but I kind of feel that way about orgies. I feel like people are really into orgies and like want to really get down with big group sex, and I just don't want to do that.
That's a really classic
is one
example.
Thing, but like a big full-on orgy, I feel like I should want to, and I would be prime meat at an orgy, but I just
and yet, you know what? I relate to that. I actually this past summer was randomly in a lot of places where like public nudity and public sex were like part of the culture.
Yeah.
I went to like Provincetown, Fire Island, and Berlin in one summer.
The capitals of group sex.
Basically, like the capitals of like gay sex in public, right? Unfortunately, at all those places, it was monkeypox, and so I was like, well, I'm not really gonna fully. But even within that, I was like, what I learned about myself was that I love being naked outside, and I love being naked with other people, but I didn't need the sexual part of it. I was like, I want this. I want to be like, oh yeah, let's all have an orgy outside. And I was like, but I actually kind of like, and it made me feel comfortable because I could explore as like, is this something I want or is this something I want to want? And it turned out to be the latter. I was like, I would love to be the kind of person who wants to do this, but I actually just don't. And that's okay.
And that's okay. And I think that's a big part of proper evolution, right? Realizing that we don't have to conform to other people's wants, even if they are the ones that are the most popular or the ones that are, you know, the most sexy or anything like that. So I think that's a good discovery. I think that's a wonderful story because I feel like it was a story about, it was wild, but it was also a story about self-discovery.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually like a you know, and credit to you because you really pulled that out there. Like, I actually hadn't really thought about that element of it, but you're totally right that it really was a moment of me being like, kind of like being a little reckless, but like, let me throw myself at the wall towards this thing that I want.
Right. And also people who are not from New Haven or who haven't been to Yale or who don't know Toad's Place, it's not really an introspective place.
No, that's not the vibe. That's not the vibe.
It's fun all around, but it's like a really cool music venue / club space. Yeah. And it's like very wooden. It's got very wooden elements to it. It's not a place where you go and like find yourself. I mean, maybe I shouldn't make that generalization actually, because I'm sure people have done mushrooms or something in there and been like,
oh, this is but it's not, it doesn't really feel like the vibe. It's like the music is so loud. You're really supposed to lose yourself there. Exactly. And I was never totally down with that project. Like I had a lot of friends there who, this is something else I was reflecting on my college experience generally. And I realize that every time I'm with friends from college where it's like, there really was a drinking culture there. Yeah. Like people really drank. Yeah. And now, and I don't know if I think like that was partially just like Yale, like that was kind of the culture there.
The city too, New Haven is a party city.
It is like a party city. And now it's like I have friends who like partying, but they really don't drink so much. It's much more about like other kinds of drugs, shrooms, whatever, but it's not the same like hard drinking. Yeah. Whereas when I went back for my 5-year reunion last spring, it was like, oh yeah, like this is what we did. Yeah. It was like we're doing shots and people are getting so drunk that it's like, and it's funny now 5 years later because it's like you're a lawyer, dude. Like,
yeah.
But it is happening.
It's happening. Well, I mean, that's American culture in general. We
Yeah.
are very I went to a concert actually in Bridgeport. I went to a
Hmm.
concert and I was just sitting there and I was looking up at all the ads and
Hmm.
it was all ads for alcohol.
Yeah.
And listen,
Yeah.
if any alcohol companies would like to sponsor this podcast, please
Look,
call me. But
right.
if they don't, I will say it's a bit much.
Yeah, and you know what? Like this would a liquor company or alcohol company would be a good match for you
Thank you.
because I actually think that like I don't know so much, but like part of one of the theses of your podcast, I imagine, is like it's like a wild night can be amazing and
It
actually
can be,
like
yeah.
transformative and a moment where you really like learn about yourself.
Well, and in that same realm, the name of your show is called Exploration Live. And
Yeah.
so in the realm of talking about exploration, I want to ask you a question as a podcast co-host.
Yeah, totally.
I do
Totally.
this bad boy solo, so I don't have the luxury of having someone that I trust to banter off of.
Yeah.
It's all me and the guest. And so you and Natalie have been doing this podcast. How long have you been doing it together, or the show in general? How long have you two been doing it together?
We started the show in like 2019.
Okay, so that's a good amount of time
Yeah,
to
we've
be
been
doing
working
a show.
together for almost 4 years now.
What would
Wow.
you say? Because were you friends first?
Yeah, we were friends first. We were friends for about a year before that.
What would you say was the biggest draw to say, okay, I
Mhm.
can do a show with this person. We have great XYZ. This works because this is it's a challenging thing to do in
Mm.
general, but then to have a partner in it
Yeah.
adds its elements.
Yeah, I think it was like there's a few things. One of them was that like it felt like I really like it was additive. Like
Mhm.
when we were talking and if I had an idea or something to say, like it wasn't like I just say it in spite of what she was saying. It was like,
Mhm.
oh, I actually felt like I learned a lot more and like found more stuff through
Mhm.
talking with her. Like it really was exploratory and it was like
Yeah.
kind of more. It wasn't just like we're two people with two sets of ideas, but rather like combined we're more than the sum of our parts.
Right.
Which was really cool. Like it was cool to be like, oh, I can bring something in and like I don't know. I had this experience often when we work together of like me being like I have this thing about like I don't know. I have this topic and I feel like there's something interesting there, but I don't know what it is. And Natalie
Yeah.
will be like, well, maybe what it is like, and then she'll say exactly what like I think I've been wanting to get at, but haven't had the words for. Right.
Mhm.
So that's like an incredible part of it. I think another thing about it is like, you know, we together we could be really like thoughtful about like how to do stuff well and do it
Mhm.
right. Like being really deliberate about like how do we produce something that's like going to be like interesting and compelling for our audience and like rewarding for us.
That's
You know,
great.
like doing a thing
Yeah.
that's like funny and silly, but also actually being like, let's take it serious and not make it like this is something she's really good at. Like I can be a little bit like achievement oriented where I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, how do we get the biggest audience ever and the most
Yeah.
money ever? And she's like, that's not what's important. What's important is how do we like make something that's really good.
Yeah.
And then if we do that, then the other stuff will follow if it's meant to.
Have you ever heard? I come from an improv background, and one
Mhm.
of the things we always say is that the audience can never have more fun than you. That's why I think this season of
Yeah.
SNL is working so well. I don't know if you're watching, but this
Yeah,
season
yeah,
of
yeah.
SNL, they're knocking it out of the park. And I
Yeah.
think it's because the cast is having so much fun with each other that we all want to be part of that fun.
Totally.
And I found listening to your show, I was thinking to myself, I can tell that these two genuinely love each other
Yeah.
and they're having a great time bantering.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
Totally.
what I think makes a great any kind of entertainment that is just personality based. I think that's what makes it the best when you're like, oh, they're having more fun than we could ever have. I want to be a part
Yeah.
of that thing.
100%. Well, right. Like I do think she's so funny.
Yeah.
I think she's like the funny, like as a stand-up. She's amazing.
Mhm.
I'm so excited to hear what she has to say. She's like, we've been doing this for so long. She surprises me all the time.
So important.
And I even feel that because sometimes I'll listen back to our episodes because I'm curious as to what they're like. And it really is like the times that I laugh as a listener are just the times when we're laughing. Like it just works that way.
Yeah.
And it's the same on like SNL. Like the best sketches are the ones where
they're breaking.
Where they break. It's like you actually, it's just, it makes so much sense. It's like a pro-social thing where you're like, okay, we're all laughing right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's true. It's like I love doing the podcast. It's like the most fun ever.
Well, congratulations. You just got picked up by HeadGum, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Cool.
That's really exciting. Good for you guys.
Thank you.
That's
it's cool.
awesome.
It's been like a lot of logistical work, but ultimately like long-term, less logistical work, hopefully.
Yes. Yes. Now, also, I want to talk a little bit about you as a writer.
Okay,
so you're
sure.
somebody I was reading that you're very into expressing gratitude.
Interesting. Where did I write that?
On
Or where
your
was?
website.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my God. On my website. That's scary to hear.
You're like, I must edit immediately.
Yeah, I'm like too scared to look at it.
Well, don't be, because I found that very endearing. I don't think enough people realize the power of gratitude and how it shapes your life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still find that you're someone who practices gratitude?
Yeah, I think it's deliberate because it's easy to lose it. Like I'm not someone where it's just like naturally I'm like, oh, of course I'm grateful. Like if without any like kind of higher order redirection, I think I'll be very like petulant, complainy, wanting more or whatever. And so a lot of the things that I've had to like learn are things that like if I sorry, I'm like having so much trouble speaking.
It's okay.
It just has to be deliberate. Yeah, exactly. You're like, you have the smoothest voice. I'm like, but you know what I mean. If I don't do it deliberately, I just won't do it. And so it has to be like a conscious active practice.
Yeah, yeah. And I think honestly, anytime you are living in gratitude, as corny as that sounds, but anytime you are living in gratitude, you do get more out of life. You can see the better, you can see the good things clearer.
Yeah. Well, this is not to talk about Yale again, but like this was a lesson I learned because I was so like in high school, as I said, I really didn't go out so much. I was really focused on school and really focused on like achievement in school. And I actually had like I had a lot of fun in high school just because I thought really funny friends who I still think are really funny and awesome. But I really was focused on achievement or like I wanted to get into college and specifically like was like I want to get into Yale. Like that will be. And then when I did like get into Yale, I was like, that's amazing. And then I went and I immediately got depressed because I was like, well, what was this for? Like I didn't love it at first, especially. I was like,
so this doesn't look anything like Gilmore Girls.
Like, so I don't know. There was an element of like learning that like, oh, if you just are organizing your life about like wanting the next thing, it's actually going to disappoint you.
Yes, every time.
For sure. Yeah. It like will not live up to like how much weight you're putting on it.
Yeah, you have to live in the present. That's I think that's the key to like getting everything you want is just being happy with the present moment. One unrelated question, but just I need your opinion as someone who lived in New Haven.
Yeah.
The pizza.
Yeah. I actually think the pizza is, like everybody says, it's really good. I can say my favorite places. I really liked Modern. I like Pepe's.
That's my favorite.
And I think I like Sally's too.
That would be my exact order. Modern, Pepe's, Sally's.
Yeah. I think the unfortunate tragedy of going to Yale, beyond all the other tragedies and the things about it that make it like a horrible place, but is that like the pizza that's accessible on campus is pretty bad. Like those are all kind of far away, and the ones that you have on campus are like Yorkside, which is like not good. Yorkside. Yeah, tough. Bar pizza's okay.
But... Bar's okay. I like Bar as a place more, but
yes, I agree.
Their mashed potato pizza is
that one was good.
That one was okay, but I mean, if I'm gonna have pizza, I'm gonna get Modern, and that's just the way it's gonna be.
Yeah, Modern was really good, and that one was a little bit closer to campus then. But it was nice that it's like New Haven had this thing that was like our pizza's amazing, and then you try it, you're like, it is pretty good actually.
Yeah.
I didn't feel let down by that.
Good. Hear
Yeah.
that, everybody? New Haven pizza's the shit. Now,
Yeah.
do you still do your newsletter?
This is a perpetual thing where I'm like, I should do it.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I get really like bashful about it or something. It's hard for me to. I did it for a long time. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
And because I don't know why, but for some reason, like, why would I do this if there are people who would do this a million times better than me? Like, I think I'm a good writer, but I don't think I'm like prose writer, but I'm like not as experienced. And I'm like, there are people who do this for their full job. So what do I have to offer? I kind of get in my head about it.
Yeah.
That said, I do think I want to keep doing it.
Yeah, because honestly, in my opinion, of course, there's always going to be a better X, Y, and Z of everything.
Right.
But if you don't do something because there's a better person doing it,
Right.
Oprah's the best interviewer. But if nobody interviewed because Oprah exists, then we would have way less interviews because Oprah, you are not putting them out fast enough.
Right. Exactly. Girl, we need more.
Girl,
No,
we
you're
need more.
right. And I think also the thing that I've had to like I don't know, it's really easy to imagine like an audience that's like really critical or judgmental. And I'm sure there are people who read or see whatever we put out and are like, oh, this isn't that good. And it's like, whatever,
Whatever.
This is a thing of like, my friend taught me this, like, done is better than perfect.
Absolutely. Every time. Because nothing is perfect.
Yeah. And you actually literally will not get better at something unless you actually do it.
Well,
Which
that's
is so mean, but it's true.
I'm so happy that you said that because I was reading this book and by reading a book, I mean listening to the audiobook on YouTube.
Of course. Yeah. On YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, that's another place to get your audiobooks
from.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was listening to this book and they were saying how our school systems are built to make workers and train children to be workers rather because the number one way humans learn and evolve is by making mistakes.
Yeah.
But we're punished for making mistakes when we're in grade school. And so I always thought that was really interesting. That was a
totally
light bulb moment where I'm like, oh yeah, people like mess up on a spelling test, but now they'll never forget how to spell the word carrot. Maybe that was a personal story,
Right. Right. I mean, I think that's so true. Like, we don't get I don't know, that like actually like the thing of what happens after you make the mistake is the most important moment for learning, and
that's the most important moment.
Often that's the end of the story.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the end of the story, Charlie, can you please tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, if you have anything coming up next?
So, okay, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, all at Chunk Bardey. And then you can, the main thing is just my podcast, which is ongoing heretofore, and it's called Exploration Live. It's with me and Natalie Rotter-Lateman. We have time. Check it out.
And do you have any upcoming shows for that live?
Yeah, we do a show monthly. I'm not sure when our May show is.
But it's a May show.
There's a May show. Yeah, we do a live. So we do like a live show or two every month that gets added to the podcast. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, Charlie, I cannot thank you enough for your time, enough for your story, enough for your conversation. This was so wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So thank you so much. And you and I will chat soon, okay?
Okay, perfect.
All right, bye.